I don't know whether to tell you this or not. A submarine has no friends. Once you hit that open water, you're on your own. If you're getting in trouble, you're alone. You don't get no help. Got no help from nobody. My childhood? Back then you didn't get around too much like we do today. There was a long time before we even had a car. We went with horses, the wagon, that kind of stuff. Wisconsin up by La Crosse, small farm, dairy farm. Back then, none of us farm kids went to high school. We learned how to milk cows and hoe tobacco and all that stuff as soon as you was able to. As soon as you was out of school, they put you to work.
Growing up on a farm in La Crosse, Wisconsin during the Great Depression, Archie Holte worked 10 hours a day, 7 days a week for a mere pay of $20 a month. Many teenagers in America were left in a similar situation, looking and working for a better way to achieve their American dream.
I didn't want to stay on the farm. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I'd thought about the Army, but I didn't know that much about it. So I hadn't given it all that much thought, just a kid growing up, Then when I was 17, I joined the Navy. We was down to my granddad's on Monday. We went down there, me and my brother did. We was going to help his neighbor strip tobacco. And we went through his place to get this other guy's place, and he told us. So on Sunday, we didn't even hear about it on Sunday. We heard it on Monday, heard about it. But then at that time, it didn't register what it was. It seemed kind of like a fairy tale when I first heard it, didn't know if you believe it or not, and didn't even know where Pearl Harbor was. But as time went on, you got adjusted to it and you realized what was going on. That's all we thought about for the whole next year. See, a Jap won't give up. A German, he'll give up, but a Japanese won't give up. He can be surrounded by 200 Marines and he won't give up. It's an honor for them to die. Japanese, they were no dummies, and they were good fighters, boy. They were tough. I always figured that we could get the best of them, but it didn't always work out quite that way. But at the beginning, we wasn't prepared. But they've been training for years. Pearl Harbor is what kicked it off. That ticked everybody off. That really set things off. If they wouldn't have bombed Pearl Harbor like that, well, maybe it might have been different.
Japan has made war upon the United States without declaring it.
You can't imagine what that harbor looked like when it went in there. My God, them big ships laying on their sides, and there was so many you could hardly get in there. It was hardly passageway to get in the place. It scared the devil out of everybody. You couldn't understand it, it shouldn't have been. It wasn't supposed to be. War ain't no piece of cake. World War II was completely different, because Japan would have took us.
The surprise attacks on Pearl Harbor left ill-equipped America stunned, but also gave way for America's victory. The United States forces were a reflection of the nation's isolationist views at the time, with its people stuck in a seemingly endless cycle of poverty. The devastating attacks on Pearl Harbor, where over 2,400 Americans gave their lives, set a catalyst for the transformation of a new America, and it was to be led by the bright-eyed, ambitious youth of the 1940s.
Well, I was only 16 I was only 15 at the time. So I couldn't wait till I was 17 because I couldn't go till I was 17. So I had to wait a little over a year before I could go. Yeah, but Pearl Harbor was a big thing, but I wanted to go and do something anyway. I wanted to get off that farm. I wanted to do something besides work 7 days a week. And back then I was working for a guy. He had a big farm a mile from town. He lived in town. And I had to walk out there. I'd have to milk 20-some cows by hand every morning and night. A lot of days I wouldn't even get no lunch or nothing to eat because I didn't have time to go in to get nothing to eat. And I think I got paid about around $20 a month for it. So when I got in the Navy, I got $50 a month, and I never had such a good job. That was a big job then. So yeah, I was ready to go.
Archie's ambition and drive led him to a quick decision to enlist. He used the opportunity of serving his country to not only better the Navy, but to also better himself.
I thought about the Army, but after I wanted to go in the Marines, and they only had one recruiter in that little town, and he was for the Marines and the Navy both. So then he said, what do you want to sleep in a foxhole for when you can sleep in a bunk with clean blankets? So that sounded pretty good. So then I enlisted in the Navy. They sent us to Milwaukee, induction center down in Milwaukee. And that's where we were sworn in. We spent, I think we spent one night there. Then they loaded us up, shipped us to Great Lakes, and fitted us out with clothes, and took all our clothes, and we had to send them back home. And that was about it. It didn't take long. It was running them through there pretty fast back then. So there was no preliminaries or nothing. It was just get it done.
Growing up on a farm, Archie's strict schedule and adherence to structure paved an easier boot camp experience compared to his peers. With his mind set on success, Archie jumped in and progressed with the flow of training and quickly adapted to the fast-paced environment.
I didn't mind boot camp at all. I thought that was a racket. A lot of guys was complaining about it. They had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I used to have to get up at 4 o'clock, so it was a piece of cake for me. And as far as this doing these calisthenics and running these courses and stuff, that was easy compared to what I'd been doing. After I went to boot camp, I went to gunnery school in Great Lakes. But my boat come out first, and usually when you come out of school, they'd send you to Key West. They had some old boats down there that wasn't fit for patrol that they'd train you on for a while, a couple of 3 months. But I never got any of that. They put me right on this, the one I was on, and they took us out for a half a day, the class out for a half a day. That's all I'd ever been on a submarine. I didn't know nothing about it. To operate, you can see it in a book, but it's different when you have to do it. I had to stand a wheel watch, a helm watch, and the guy rattled off some numbers and walked off and said, well, I had no idea what to do. So you got to run the speed of the boat and the whole thing when you stand a helm watch. And I didn't know how to do that, but quartermaster happened to be in the conning tower, and he showed me how. Just you do this, do that, and that's all the training I had on the thing. But I picked it up. But I had to learn everything the hard way, because you had to know every valve on that boat, what to do if you happened to be there, something happened, whether that should be opened, closed, or whatever. Everybody had to qualify. If you didn't qualify in 2 patrols, they kicked you off. You disqualified you, put you out. They were really short of men. There was enough in the lead jobs so they could boss the thing and run the thing. But most of the guys was schoolboys, like I was. A lot of them was. The majority of the crew was schoolboys when we went out.
America's military in World War II relied on its youth to step up and sacrifice their childhood naivety in order to be able to accept the harsh realities of war. The battles Archie Holte and all other crewmen in the Pacific went through quickly forced a transformation of character, leadership, and attitude towards life.
We had some up by Tokyo Bay, and then we had one patrol down by Bungo Sweeto. That was a bad one. that was rough duty down there. That was a big Navy base down there. And, well, it was real hostile down there. It was bad news. It was supposed to have been a very secret patrol. We couldn't use our radio. We wasn't allowed to shoot at anything. We were supposed to. The fleet was in there, because that was their biggest naval base, and they knew they was going to come out. And Halsey wanted to know when it's coming out, and the size of them, and what was in there, and their course speed, and all that stuff. So we were supposed to lay outside there, and when it come out, we were supposed to report that, and it was supposed to be very secret. Well, in about 3 days, Tokyo Rose come on and called the captain by the first name and knew the name of our boat. He knew the captain's wife's first name. She did. So that's how secret it was.
The Japanese intelligence during World War II used the isolation of the men on the submarines against them through the form of Tokyo Rose. Eva Taguri, a Japanese-American woman stranded in Japan, became the most famous of several female radio announcers, whose aim was to demoralize the American Navy through the use of propaganda and secretive information. By using American women, the Japanese were better able to emphasize Allies' losses and Axis' gain. The men on the Gablin regularly listened to Tokyo Rose for enjoyment, and generally ignored the war news. The Japanese radio show 0 Hour used tactics of mental intimidation along with their demoralization. The Tokyo Rose would play American songs long before their release in America, and would even announce submarine ships and captains' names throughout the seas before battle.
They had good intelligence, really. But we liked to listen to Tokyo Rose. She was one patrol up off Japan. She came out with a new song. We'd never heard it. And we got back into Pearl a couple of months later. It just come out, but she had it. I don't know how she ever got it, but she had it. She had all that stuff. We like to listen. And then they made her announcer on the radio, and I presume she didn't really have much choice. I don't know, but she was on the radio all the time, trying to get you demoralized, run the Americans down and the Japanese up, and some skippers wouldn't let the crew listen to her because she had to, it was always getting beat, this and that, and the war news was terrible as far as we was concerned. That we didn't pay no attention to that, but we liked to listen to her. They'd pipe it through the boat so everybody could hear her. Oh, yeah.
The crew of the Gablin, ignoring Tokyo Rose's looming threats, continued to surveil the seas.
It depends on where they'd send us. It might be up off Japan, it might be down around Saipan. Before they took the Marianas, we made a patrol around the Marianas. It all depends on where they sent you, So there's a dozen different seas out there. I think there's every darn one of them. The Philippine Sea, we was in that. That was sort of getting down there. And then there's a couple other ones in the Pacific. I had 2 stars in the Pacific ribbon and one in Philippine Liberation ribbon. Battles we was in.
The Gablin surveillance led them to the infamous Tokyo Bay, where their success came from wit and strategy.
Tokyo Bay was a piece of cake compared to some of the other places. I was in there 7 times. So that you see in the movies where they got all these nets and all this crap. Well, that's completely into inner harbor. You don't go in there. Why go in there? Because they got to come out past you anyway. It's stupid to go in there. Just lay out there, wait for them. So we never had no problem with nets. But in Tokyo Bay, the last patrol we picked aviators up when they was bombing Tokyo. If they'd get hit or something, they'd come out and land their planes in the water, and we'd pick them up. We was going through Lombok Strait in Australia, and you'd have to go through at night, try to sneak through. It was very narrow. The water was just like glass, and we was in only 160 feet of water, and he'd seen our periscope. He'd made a couple of runs on us, dropped 10 of them each time right on top of us. And I think he was a depth charge factory. So if he'd have probably made another pass on her, he'd have blown that hatch off. But it started to rain. Rain hitting the water, he couldn't hear on their sonar gear. And we got away from the water. We never would have survived that.
Archie Holte's submarine, the USS Gablin, was equipped with 24 torpedoes. With 6 tubes up forward and 4 tubes aft, the Gablin had a total of 16 steam torpedoes up forward and 8 electric aft. Although the steam torpedoes had the potential to disclose their location, the Gablin relied on its speed to hit its target and destroy the keel effectively.
Until we got them cuties, I don't remember how many of them we carried, but you could get 2 of them in a rack where you get 1 other torpedo. The steam torpedo was a faster torpedo than the electric was, but the electric one didn't leave a wake. But it had a long range. We usually used, most of the time we used the steam torpedoes on it. You had six in the tubes up forward. We had 6 tubes forward and 4 tubes aft. So we had 6 in the tubes and 10 reloads forward. Now we had 4 and 4 in them aft. They're pretty happy boys. One night, I don't know whether to tell you this or not, we got ordered to clear the area. See, Japan still had ships, but they didn't have no oil to run them. And they had them, they'd use them for anti-aircraft when they against the planes, you know. So they had a task force going to go in there that night and see if they couldn't get rid of some of them. And they was coming through our area, and we was told to get out of there. Well, at the last minute, a pilot went down as far away as he could possibly be, and the captain wouldn't let him go. So he went after him. We got him, and then we met those guys coming in, and we was going out. And we was under the impression they wasn't supposed to fire until they was in torpedo range, which was 9,000 yards, and they started shooting at us at 14,000 yards. I was on the after lookout when that happened, and I seen them. It was dark, but I seen their silhouettes. There was 3 colored flares, yellow, green, and red, and they had different hours. It would never be the same. It might go for 6 hours, it might go for 24 hours, but they'd change colors. But everybody was supposed to have that same, you know. And they fired the wrong flare. And just as they did that, the captain turned right towards them. And we fired a green flare, which is the correct flare. And then they started shooting at us. If he wouldn't have turned, they'd have broadsided us. I wouldn't be here. That's how close he come. Well, when we went into the war, Japan had a lot better Navy than we did, a lot better trained. But we caught up to them, and then we passed them. But at the beginning of the war, they was very superior to us, Navy-wise. They was better trained. They had wonderful ships. Like us now, America, they push the submarines. Submarines actually cleared out the Pacific there. I think we made up 2% of the Navy, and we sank 55% of everything that was sunk out there. But then we paid the price for it. We lost 52 submarines during the war. 1 out of 5 went down. the whole ship would go, you know, they'd get them all. If they'd have won that Battle of Midway, which we won by a stroke of luck, it would have been a lot different story. When I got discharged, I was kind of lost, I'll tell you. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I was just, yeah. For a year or two, I was kind of lost. It didn't worry me too much what the world was doing, really. Well, I had a different attitude, I did. I mean, I don't know if the country was different, but I was. I had a completely different outlook on life than when I left it. I seen reality, I guess.
If you would have told me 2 years ago that I would have been wearing an American flag outfit, I would have laughed at you and rolled my eyes. When I first found out about the Harlem Veteran Project, I was really excited because I thought it was just a regular World War II class and I never had an opportunity to take an in-depth class before. And now comparing it to what VetDoc really is, I just laugh at how naive we all really are when it comes to understanding history and the importance of an individual in every single aspect of life and war. I was never really interested in the tactical parts of war. The fighting and the killing all seemed pointless to me. I wanted to know about the social problems, the causes and effects to the stimulations of war, and then I realized it was all the same. Archie was just a boy growing up on a farm in Wisconsin who wanted to find adventure and meaning in his life. The exact wishes I and most teenagers of the world want so desperately. Archie Holte and the Harlem Veteran Project made me realize how alike we all are as people. The basic composition in every person just boils down to one word: ambition. However, the ambitions of self-interest in times of great trial give way to opportunity to sacrifice for the greater good, for the promise of liberty and justice for all of humanity. No longer do these veterans and civilians fight for the opportunity to go home and live in comfort. No longer do they fight for the glory for themselves. They transform the valor of joining the most powerful military force in the world to a humble outlook on life and the opportunities able to be given to the world. Ambition is what Archie Holte had when he worked day after day on the farm. Ambition is what united the crew of the Gablin in the attack of Bungo Sweeto. Ambition is what the Harlem Veteran Project captures in documenting how important all of our veterans and civilians are to the world. World War II gave all of them the opportunity to take the future in their hands and shape it to how they want it to become. Everyone wants to save the world, and I learned that anyone can.